Hey community, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, I'm Dr. Blaire, a doc in clinical psychology. And on this channel, we discuss psychology, inspiration, social justice, and all topics in between. First things first, hit that subscribe and bell button. I need to see you back next week. And of course, stay tuned because we are going to talk about the struggles that come along with this holiday season. Keep watching. All right, so before we jump into it, I must say thank you all so much for your patience. I think maybe over the past 3 weeks or so, I've kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus, partial, but I've instead been putting out YouTube shorts, which is those, few second videos that are under a minute long instead of the full video. I won't necessarily be before you a long time for this one, but I want to have a conversation with you about the holidays. But of course, I have to express my gratitude and appreciation of you all still sticking with me over that short hiatus, or partial hiatus, I really should call it. It gave me a time to kind of recuperate and regenerate and all the other synonyms that are related. But thank you so much. So you see it right there in the title. We're going to talk about holiday season, a lot of struggles that come up during this time. And specifically, I want to talk about overcompensation. Now, some of you may be wondering, how exactly does this have to do anything with psychology, inspiration, or social justice? Great question. Well, it's related to our psychology because it has a lot to do with how it impacts our mental health and our management of stress during the holidays. Inspiration, I'm more so just here to inspire you to apply some of these solutions. In social justice, believe it or not, a lot of holiday stress is very much so related to the consumer market and capitalism. And so if we don't give into their plan to make more money, which, I mean, you have to give it to them. It's been working for ages at this point. If you don't give into that, then it actually kind of ties into a social justice movement, your silent social justice movement. But with all of that being said, I do have a short list of key points. So I'm going to glance down at my notes here or there to go over it with you. First things first is there's often this overcompensation during the holiday season to keep up with everyone and everything. I mean, between November and January, 1st, there are nothing but events, nothing but gift purchasing, nothing but eating, nothing but potlucks, Friendsgiving, so on and so forth. I mean, the list goes on, and all of these things cost money. And I know that I am not the only person that's sitting there like, if I spend another dollar, if I spend another dime, well, sometimes we have to pause and say, okay, am I not necessarily just even living over your means, but you don't have to keep up with every single celebration. You don't have to purchase every single gift. In fact, I am not the person that believes even in overspending during this time. I always encourage people to stay within your realm of what you can do during this time. You have an opportunity to give gifts later. So if you feel like you're overcompensating, feeling like you're having to meet other people's expectations, feeling like you're having to even meet society's expectations, because at one point in time, this was some years ago, because here in the U.S., I would say within the past 5 years at least, they started making changes about around Black Friday. And Black Friday sales used to be tremendously, like it was a huge sale, like 75% off and above. Now we're seeing like 20% off, and that's just like a joke. But the 75% off and above, and you had lines around the building. It was violent as well, lots of fights breaking out, something I never really participated in because Cyber Mondays, it's just like, it's my thing. I'll sit at the computer and purchase my things. But there's like this pressure of, I have to get that deal, I have to get that steal, I have to have these things. But marketing plays a major role in pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, I don't know the numbers of if people or consumers spent as much money this season as they used to when the sales were larger, but I do know that people are still spending. People still feel the pressure to fall into these traditions, so to speak, of what we've done before. But I'm here to just say, hey, have you thought about freeing yourself from that idea? Have you thought about freeing yourself from the concept, a concept that actually is eating a hole in your pocket, a concept that actually doesn't serve you any purpose? If you think about it, what purpose does it serve you? Is it really saving you that much money? At this point, I don't think it is. So think about actually keeping the money in your pocket, having extra money in your pocket for a rainy day, having extra money in your pocket for the things that are to come next year. Just the thought that you have the ability to free yourself from those expectations that other people have put on you, that society has put on you, and that even you have put on yourself. It's okay to say to that vow, I no longer vow to do these things any longer because it's not helping me, it's not serving any purpose. It is an overcompensation to live a life that you don't have to live in that type of way. Just a thought. I'm curious, y'all drop in the comments if you can relate to this. So the next thing is around, and I kind of talked about attending every celebration a little earlier. There's this pressure that, so-and-so is having a party, my job is having a Christmas party, my church is having this, and you've got like multiple celebrations back to back, probably even birthday parties during this month as well in December. Now, I'm not against celebration. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I am for you kind of evaluating which ones you go to and which ones do you pass on, and that you don't have to fall into the pressure, even the peer pressure of going to every single party. It's too much. People are out there purchasing even outfits for every single celebration. It adds an extra layer of stress to this season that already pre-existed. Do we really need more stress in this time? Or another way you can look at this is it's a way of you actually managing your stress in a healthy way, of picking and choosing which ones you go to and why. Now, this is not me kind of encourage you to be shady, okay, or petty, but instead for you to really take a close look at why you feel the need to participate in every single event and go to every single event. You don't need to. You don't need to. Come on, say it with me. I don't need to. That's good. You don't need to go to every single celebration. And lastly, I want to talk about end of the year costs. I had a conversation with someone very recently around a large chunk of change that's going to be due that is kind of related to their own personal life. But we already have bills, and then we have those bills that come every once in a while, or things that we have to pay that come every once in a while. And so I'm just going to call it those end of year costs to kind of close out this year that come up. And so it's an added stressor. And I think a lot of the time when we focus on this end of the year holiday season, we think of all of the fun and the cheer. That's what's advertised, but we don't talk about all of the stressors, even the distress that many people experience during this time. And so you already know I'm for mental health. I am for wellness. And in order for us to maintain our wellness, we have to have those honest and upfront conversations with ourselves and even with other people. So for that being said, let's just kind of jump into thinking that we kind of have this list of all of these stressors and all of these things to consider. Let's talk a little bit more about solutions. We have to be solution focused. What do we do about all of these things outside of what has already been said? First things first, we have to set boundaries. And I've said this before here. I'll say it again. I say it in other places. Boundaries are bi-directional. That means that when I set a boundary with another person, an entity, a place, whatever it may be, I also set a boundary with myself. I cannot have another person or an external being uphold a boundary that I am not also upholding on my end. Set boundaries. I will go to this one, but I will not go to this one for these reasons. It costs too much. It is too long. There are more people there that are triggering for me. It brings up too many emotional things from my past. Whatever it might be, you have to set up healthy boundaries. Got it? Good. 2, you need to use wisdom. I think many of the time we have wisdom in the back of my mind. We know what is the right thing to do or the better thing to do, but for some reason we just don't choose it. That's another conversation for a different day. But this time I want to encourage you to choose wisdom, especially as a believer in Christ. Choose wisdom. He's given us an entire book full of wisdom for us not to fall into traps. Use wisdom this time. And lastly, miss the trap. Miss the trap of added stress. Miss the trap of increased greed. And miss the trap of folly, foolery, or not using wisdom, because that's what it is. I know it's hard to hear, but that's what it is. Miss the trap. The traps that are set out there for you to fall into these areas, miss it. Go around it, jump over it, avoid it in a positive way. miss these traps and instead put yourself in a place where you're not only ending 2022 in a uplifted way, in a positive way, in a prosperous way, but you give yourself an opportunity to start 2023 in a better way than maybe you had before. Okay, so quick recap: overcompensation, we're going to toss that. Let's leave it in the time before. We're not even going to say leave it in 2022. We're not going to do that this year. We're going to not overcompensate, but instead we're going to manage our stressors well and in a better way by utilizing wisdom, boundaries, and missing the traps that we already know have been there every single year for ages, probably since most of us have been children. Miss the trap. It's announcement time. It's announcement time. Okay, so I believe I gave this announcement at the beginning of November, right after we completed the Battlefield Conference. But we are having a event, an online event, a wellness workshop online at the beginning of January 14th to be exact. And you have an opportunity to go ahead and register. The information is right there on the screen for you. And if you register, you will be registering to participate in exploring your history of wellness and also getting some tips and some tricks and following along this journey with me as a facilitator on how you can be doing better moving forward, because I desire for you to start 2023 well. And there will be other workshops, other free events that will be actually happening. This one is a paid event, but there will be some events that I'll be having. So be sure that you're following me on Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, at Dr. Blaire. All of the information right there at the bottom of your screen. And also the links are down below in the description box here for this video. Be sure that you're following me on those platforms, because I will continue to release information of different events or even other platforms that I'll be on, joining with other people, for you to make sure that you're getting all of this free goody stuff, because we want to live a victorious life, and that requires for us to live a healed life. And in order for us to live a healed life, we have to put some work in. I know sometimes it feels like it's not fair, but we've got to do the work. And sometimes you need to know, how am I supposed to do this? And that's what I'm here for, to share it with you, to give you those tips, those tricks, the information, and help you to see life from another perspective. And I pray that up until this point, it has been helpful for you thus far. I will see you all again, and I will make sure that y'all continue to get this information, but make sure y'all continue to share with somebody else. Okay? Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your community, and be sure to share with someone specific who needs to hear a conversation surrounding overcompensation during the holidays. And of course, remember, before you go, and I see you next time, if I'm great and you're great, then we're a great community.